I have Nick here from Recollective. He's going to go through their demo. Just a few housekeeping reminders. Obviously, you can pop your questions into that Q&A chat there. And then that chat box is for anything else, saying hi, sharing your LinkedIn profile, talking about your Spotify Wrapped songs. And then we'll get to the Q&A at the end of the session. So, just hold on for the end there and we'll get to the questions. But Nick, I will go ahead and turn it over to you and take it away.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you, Kara. Hello to everyone, and hello from Ottawa, Canada, actually. Happy Friday. My name's Nick, and by now I'm sure most of you have heard about Recollective, and if you haven't, well, you're in for a very good treat today. Online research is wonderful these days. You have access to so many online tools to help you make your research as unique as your own brand. You can choose from dozens of different platforms to enable you to sift insights from any nook and cranny. And you have access to the same powerful tools that were once only available to some of the largest research agencies in the world. However, having this much choice is a double edged sword, which always raises the big question, what platform do I choose? Now, over the next 25 minutes, I'll take you through a tour of Recollective to show you why we are regarded as the Swiss Army knife of online research platforms, and why Recollective could very well be the only tool you'll ever need for online digital qual. Today, I'll show you how Recollective will enable you to do more with less. All right, let's jump into the platform now. So, as a software technology company at heart, Recollective was built not only to be visually beautiful, it's also meticulously put together to give you, your participants, and your clients the best user experience possible. Almost everything that we'll see in Recollective is easily customizable. On my login page, the branding, the color schemes, login options, even the URL can be changed to however you want. Being a platform that is used all around the world, our platform currently supports 28 languages and counting. Now, whether you have a desktop, laptop, tablet, or even a phone, you can access Recollective on any mobile browser, and it will readapt itself to whatever screen size you're using. Being a web-based application does also have many benefits, and some of them such as being accessible to the widest audience in the world, and also doesn't require you to download any plugins or apps for it to work. Now, although Recollective is regarded as one of the best online platforms for long ongoing communities, our platform is also very frequently used for shorter to medium-term studies. Currently, some of our most popular use cases include digital ethnography, diary studies, user experience testing, IDIs, focus groups, and also homework questionnaires. Our flexible range of options for licenses allow you to run studies as small as 10 people over 3 days, all the way up to thousands of respondents for months or even years at a time. With us, scalability is not an issue. Now, long story short, no matter how large, how long, wherever you are in the world, or how customized you want that experience to be, Recollective is here to help you do it all. All right, enough of that. Let's go into the site and let's take a look at some of the fun parts. Now, when you log in as an administrator, you'll land on a dashboard page, which is again fully customizable. On my dashboard here, I've set it up for my own research team, where I have an admin corner. I can see all of my studies that are happening live. I have upcoming key dates, some reports, documents, and I also have a study template section, which allows my team to get up and running quicker, copying, pasting old studies or questions that I highly use. Now, dashboards are great since Recollective can be used in so many different ways. If you're using Recollective on a one-off, shorter-term project basis, our basic dashboard is perfect for you. For research agencies or large enterprises who use Recollective on a long-term basis, a customized dashboard allows you to easily collaborate between your teams. It allows you to manage all of your studies in one centralized site. You can also create study templates, as I showed you, to save you time on setup. And lastly, you can refer back to any study you've done in the past since it's all saved in this one spot. Now, talking about longer-term uses of Recollective, some people don't know, but you can actually build and manage an entire panel inside Recollective. So in the site administration section here, this is filled with all types of tools for you to manage a panel. This makes retargeting and re-engaging participants so simple. You can bulk upload data via an Excel spreadsheet. You can save things such as profile fields. You can even create segments that, what we'll see later, are super powerful all throughout Recollective. On top of all of this as well, there's screening tools built in, so you can essentially do everything here. Site admin is also a section where you can invite other analysts, third-party moderators, and clients or observers. And lastly, in the settings, we give you full control to modify and control everything on your Recollective site. Things such as starting your license, your custom agreements and NDAs, and even site appearance, where you can change the entire look and feel of your site with a couple clicks of your mouse. All right, with that out of the way, let's go into a study space of Recollective, and let me show you what that looks like. Now, small disclaimer here before I dive into things. I have turned on all the bells and whistles for you to see the full extent of Recollective. But when you're customizing and designing this yourself, you can have it more simplified, you can make it even more complex, you can add more layers of socialization, or you can make things completely privatized. It's all up to you. By default, though, Recollective has 4 main sections. You have a homepage, which serves as a landing point for your study. You have activities, and this is where most of the action on Recollective happens, which we'll dive into later. Discussions are more traditional forum-type communications. And lastly, in the summary section, we aggregate all the insights that you gather, and there's a variety of different tools such as dynamic charts, graphs, and video clipping for you to use. Having understanding of the 4 sections, let's dive into each one in a little bit more detail. Now, as the saying goes, first impressions are everything. So we've given you the ability to customize this dynamic homepage however you want for your participants and your clients alike. As I scroll through my homepage, I have elements of text, pictures, videos, and I even have some dynamic cards such as your up next activity and join the discussions, which will depend and vary based off of the participant's experience and also what they need to do next. As I scroll further down, I also have some elements of socialization built in, such as a recently online board and a gamification system that's tied together by a leaderboard. All of this gives my study more of a community type feel and a social media like flavor, which is perfect for socialized studies, consumer communities, and much more. Now, on the contrary, if you don't want to do any socialization and you want to keep it more simple, you can also do this as well. In this separate example that I'm showing you now of a homepage, you can see that things are much more simplified. It's much more just text-based. And even at the very top, instead of 4 sections, I've only enabled 2. And I've even renamed activities to things to do. Everything on Recollective was built to be very easy, so changing things is as easy as going to edit page, and you can drag things around. Now with that out of the way and understanding how homepage works, let's move and shift gears into the activities, which is naturally where participants will go afterwards. Activities. So when we talk about Recollective being the Swiss Army knife of online qual platforms, this is really where that section comes into play. In Recollective, activities is where you'll create different questions, surveys, tasks, diary studies, or even IDIs and focus groups for your participants to interact with. Now, pairing these all together gives you the sky's the limit. You can essentially pick and combine any type of research methodologies all in one spot. In Recollective, there are 13 unique task types that range from simple text questions and survey-like formats to more dynamic tasks such as card sorting, UX testing, and also concept texting, concept markups for pictures and video testing. Now on my page here, each tile that you see is called an activity. And inside each activity will be a series of these 13 different task types that you've combined and customized. You'll notice at the bottom of each activity are start dates and due dates, which will control when they're available for participants to interact with. And they also send out automated notifications on your behalf, reminding participants that there's something new coming up or that there's something due that requires their attention. Think of this almost like a personal assistant that's completely dedicated just to following up participants for you, so you don't need to worry about it. Now, if I click on an activity here, it will give you a comprehensive summary screen. So right off the bat, you can see your completion rates. In my example, I have 6 different task types that build out this activity. That being said, you can build them up to be as lengthy or as short as you want, and these tasks can be randomized, grouped together in concepts, and you can even apply routing to certain tasks. As I scroll further down, I have a more detailed response summary with quick actions that I can take here on the left side. And naturally, if I click on responses, you guessed it, you'll see all the insights that you've collected for this one activity. Now, back to the activity screen here. And before we dive into the 13 individual task types I'll show you today, there are two more important things that I'll talk about as it relates to the structure and the setup of your activities. The first one has to do with activity visibility. And for every activity you create, you can have it so that everyone in your study can do and see it, or you can limit it to certain segment groups. The second one is called sharing of responses. And again, for every activity that you create, you can either have it so the responses are completely privatized, or you can have them in a socialized and shared setting where respondents can see each other's answers and comment and even like on them as well. All right, understanding how a structure of an activity works, let's dive in and let me show you all the 13 different task types that you can pick and combine together and see everything that we can offer within Recollective. Starting from the top left, you can always ask open-ended text questions. Then you could create a fill the blanks exercise, which is almost like a survey format in Recollective. Here you can do text questions, polls, photo collaging, like art scales, and allocation scales. Next off, you can always collect photos, videos, and screen recordings as a form of a response, and all videos collected on Recollective give you a dynamic text transcript. Multimedia is a combination of text, photos, videos, screen recording, and files, and it allows your participants more flexibility to submit a combination of those answers to you. Next off, we have single or multiple choice polling, and then we have image review and video review, which are our concept markup tools. In an image review, respondents can click on the image, select from a group of markers, and add annotations and comments, and everything will overlay into a heat map on top of the picture afterwards. The video review is quite similar, but all the insights that you gather will show up on a timeline on the video, and you can see everything in chronological order. Prompts are buttons that respondents can click to answer questions, but they're also very commonly used for navigation, such as letting a participant visit an external website and come back and answering questions, or you can even route them to an external survey and then come back in and finish their qual questions on Recollective. Sort and rank is your traditional card sort where you're dragging cards into different categories. You have grids that you can customize all the columns and rows. And lastly, you can collect files as a form of response. So with that in mind, let me show you two examples that I prepared for the sake of time. And we're going to look at them through the perspective of a participant so you can see what that experience looks like. Now, on my screen here, all of our question types have the instructions in the top hand side where you have text, pictures, videos, or files. And underneath it will be a section where they're interacting with the question. This one's a multimedia type question, and it's super versatile and used for all different types of use cases, such as diary entries, video ethnography, UX testing with our screen recording, collaging, and so on. Submitting pictures and videos inside Recollective is a breeze, and you can do it from any device. If you're using a camera on your mobile phone or tablet, you can also access your camera roll as well, or you can take them live. As I mentioned before, all videos collected in Recollective give you an automated text transcript for you, and it supports over 120 different languages and dialects. The next one we'll see here is the image review. In this example, I have a picture of a tent, and you can use it for concepts, ads, or even blocks of text. Now, as a respondent, I can click anywhere, and these list of options will appear. I've customized this in my example, but you can use whatever labels and emojis as you like. Now, you see, as I click on one, a comment box will appear where I'll be able to describe why I've decided to do that, and I can go around clicking anywhere as a participant and adding all my markers on. As we see later, all of these labels and markers will aggregate onto a heat map overlay of the picture, and you'll be able to use dynamic filters to sort everything out. The last one I'm going to show you today is also the image review that we saw, but now it's set up completely different as a perceptual map. In this example here, I'm clicking anywhere on the map, and I'm putting down one of the brands I've selected. And again, as we saw before, I can write my comments into each one. So as you can see, the versatility with all our task types is just simply amazing. With Recollective, you have the peace of mind knowing that you can design any type of online qualitative research without any compromise. So, Nick, what about IDIs and focus groups? Let's move on to that next. Since I don't have the time to show you everything Recollective can do today, let me just highlight some of the key reasons why so many researchers have gravitated from Zoom and Google Meets to Recollective. Now, prior to COVID, as all of you know, there weren't too many IDIs and virtual focus group tools that were built specifically for researchers. Because of this, we built tools that will allow you to schedule and host interviews directly from the platform, all in one space. You can also prepare a content or a library of stimulus, such as polls, pictures, videos, files, and text, and you can easily deploy this anytime you want in your IDIs or virtual focus groups. Now, the next thing here is our system check, and I'm sure, yes, this will resonate with all of us. What we built in is the ability for participants to do a comprehensive system check that will go through all their hardware, connectivity, and also permissions, and it will help them troubleshoot it and if they identified any type of errors, reducing the amount of hassle inside your live groups as they're happening. And last but not least, we also include observers and translators into it, so we've built in an invisible backroom where they can join and communicate over text, or they can communicate over voice as well. So with that in mind, since you can so easily combine asynchronous research and live research on Recollective, the researchers that I work with a lot usually now combine these methodologies where they have homework questions prior to actually joining a focus group or IDI. What's the feedback that we receive from them by doing so? Well, first, the homework questions that you get give researchers more insights to do with inside the live sessions. Second, it saves them time from having to do lengthy introductions. Third, the participants are more prepared for the topics and conversations at hand. And last but certainly not least, researchers are able to gather richer insights in shorter sessions, which in turn means that you're saving money when it comes to incentives. Now, I know I covered a lot there, but if you tuned out and you're just rejoining us now, no problem at all. The TLDR is that you can essentially pick and combine any type of research methodologies on Recollective. The tools are here to supplement and support your research and not cause any barriers. It truly is an all-in-one research platform, and it's one that does it very, very well. Now, let's move on to the discussion section. Discussions in Recollective, as I mentioned before, are more like your online bulletin boards or forum types of conversations where participants can freely discuss topics that have been created for them or topics that they've actually created themselves, and you can empower them to do so. Discussions are a great supplement to your research as it usually provides another avenue for participants to give you insights that you may not have planned on getting in the first place. Now, with one customer that I worked with quite recently, they were using Recollective to test out a new website, doing UX testing on it with screen recordings and different types of markups. They also had a bugs and an FAQ discussion page where they gave participants the ability to submit tech issues whenever they encountered them. The same sort of idea was also used with another customer that I worked with, where they sent out smart pet feeders to the consumers and got them to journal their experiences. Discussions were then used to let respondents discuss key features or capabilities they wish the device had. And then from that, they were able to take that and collaborate, iterate it to generate new ideas for features for the pet feeders. Again, there's so much that you can do here, and it just adds another avenue for you to gather rich insights from your consumers. Now, the summary section. Yes, the summary section. We're finally here at the last part of our tour. And what kind of Swiss Army knife type of platform would we be if we didn't give you all the tools to analyze all the rich insights that you've gathered? Well, not a very good one, if you ask me. So lucky for you, Recollective has built in all types of tools for you to analyze text, pictures, videos, interviews, focus groups, and also all your quant data. If you prefer a more traditional style of analyzing your data via an Excel spreadsheet, not to worry at all. You can download it all with an Excel file with a couple clicks of your mouse. All insights on Recollective are categorized into these 5 main sections: stream, word, photos, videos, and charts. And on top of this, there are dynamic filters that you can use to narrow down the information, such as your activities, discussions, and also the segment groups that you've created. Now, on the summary stream here, it looks and feels very much like Facebook or LinkedIn. As I'm scrolling through all these answers, if I want to ask a follow-up question, all I have to do is click on comment, And now I can type in my follow-up question and post it either as a public one for everyone to see, a private one for only the responder, or I can save it as backroom comments or tasks that are only viewable by my admin team. If I want to highlight any passage of text and save it as a quote, it's just as easy as highlighting it with my mouse, letting go, and clicking on Save Excerpt. Now, what you'll see here is it pops up a coding system on the left-hand side, which you can fully customize for any key themes and sentiments that you're capturing for your study. Back up to the very top here, we also have a fully dynamic word cloud in Recollective, and you can click on words, you can type them in, and you can even combine words together. Below this, you'll see every time those combinations of words were used together, and you can save them. And yes, it will also pull words from your video transcripts as well, giving you a very holistic view of the keywords used everywhere. Photos. Photos are arranged in kind of like a Pinterest-esque way where you can see everything in a beautiful collage. And if you click on it, you can see all the comments. And then the video section, as I mentioned before, all videos on Recollective give you a dynamic text transcript, and you can actually highlight and save video clips from it. Let me show you very quickly what that means. So in my example here of a focus group that I have the video, and below this, I have the speaker identified text transcript. If I click anywhere here,
I think we're just waiting for a few more participants to join.
You can see that the words are being highlighted as it's spoken, so you can quickly navigate to anywhere you want in the video. In addition to that, if you want to save something as a highlight clip, you see something very, very important. Again, just highlight it with your mouse, click on Save Excerpt. You'll see here that the coding system that we saw before is also applicable. And on top of that, as a brand new feature that we've just added to Recollective recently, you can also add to a playlist where you can easily combine all the mini video clips that you have into a highlight reel. Inside of this, you can easily add transitions, headers, and also titles. So you don't need to get your creative team involved anymore or use another platform to do this. You can simply do it all within Recollective. The last section here is charts. And general rule of thumb is that any quantifiable data that you have on Recollective will generate some type of chart and graph for you. Now, all the data outputs will be a little bit different depending on what task types that you use, but generally they'll all have dynamic pie charts or bar charts that you can modify. You can change the colors, the labels, and all of them will have your annotations or qualitative data at the very bottom. What's cool about doing this in Recollective is, as I mentioned before, everything's fully dynamic. So you can change the way how all your charts and outputs look like, and you can even use your segment filters. So let's say, for example, I want to see the answers for just males, and my data will automatically regenerate itself with that filter applied. At this point in stage, I can export them as pictures, or I can export any of my tables as Excel files as well. Well, I know I've gone through a lot there, but that concludes it, and there we have it. We're at the end of the tour, and you're all probably thinking the same thing. There's so much you can do on Recollective, and you're absolutely correct. It's by no coincidence that we have built Recollective to be an all-in-one research platform. Your feedback throughout the years have told us that what researchers want the most is to be able to do more with less, all inside one platform. So no matter what your client's needs are, whatever country you want to gather insights from, or how simple or creative your research is, Recollective is your tool to do it all. If you ever want some inspiration to see how you can mold it to your own research offerings, please don't hesitate to reach out to us at all. A big thank you for everyone's attention, and also to Greenbook for having me. Have a great weekend, and now we'll open up to some Q&A.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nick. And I'm going to bring Laura on screen as well. I know Laura had already answered a few of the questions that people were putting in the chat box. So Laura, maybe you want to touch on those, or would you like me to first start with some of the questions that haven't been answered yet?
No, we could touch on the ones first in case anyone didn't see them. So I know that there was some questions regarding working with pharmaceutical companies, with patients and physicians, and how do you recruit within that category? And so first I'll say that Recollective is a technology company, and we work with a wide range of clients and brands in a variety of different industries. And so we do have companies that specialize in healthcare and pharmaceuticals that use Recollective, and they have done projects specifically with patients and physicians. That said, since we're a technology company, we do offer a good amount of services related to the tech, but we don't do any of the research in-house, and that includes pieces of recruitment as well. We have a whole network of partners that we work with, so that if you needed a recommendation or some suggestions on how to recruit for specific categories or topics or different participants that you need, we do have a research services department that can help connect you with the right people to work with on those specifically. So in terms of estimates of costs, I didn't know if that question was related to the participants or the costs of the platform. But Nick, do you want to chat a little bit about Recollective costs in general?
For sure. So
Okay.
it really depends on whatever range and size of study. We have a variety of different license options where you can use Recollective on a short-term basis, as I mentioned, all the way to very, very long stints for long-going communities or for managing multiple teams and studies all in one spot. But if we're looking at the smallest type of licenses that we offer, it starts as low as $500 to around $600, and that's for one-off project licenses. All of our licenses do include almost full support on this. So everything from our training provided for webinars and materials, help desk support, which is one of our key things in Recollective that people just love. Everything's there's included to help you be successful from the very first project.
Great. So I also saw Heather's question, and I intentionally didn't respond in the chat because I think this is a great question that personally I really love, because it talks a little bit about how there are a lot of similarities in the space when it comes to doing qualitative research online. And I know that there's a lot of different platform options out there. And I've actually done some webinars specifically on how you can find the right technology to meet what applications you're looking to run in terms of research. Nick, I don't know if you want to tag team this one or if we each want to talk about what we think the three main advantages are. Let me know. Do you want to address that?
Yeah,
Do you want me to
sure, Laura,
go?
go ahead. Yeah.
I don't mean to take over your presentation.
No
Nick and
worries.
I work a lot together, so we have a really good
Yeah.
relationship when it comes to this stuff. I will say a lot of technology platforms can look similar in terms of their capabilities on the front end. So if you're, lining things up based upon features, there could be some overlap. I'd say when it comes to Recollective specifically, one of our largest strengths is actually the analytics and what's on the back end. And because we can scale to very large base sizes, we're a qualitative tool, but we can scale up to 10,000 participants. Having larger communities, sometimes you want to lead with some of those quantitative task types, but the idea is how do you interpret that on the back end? And I know Nick showed this before, but we have a lot of really great interactive output when it comes to finding out those themes and then customizing it directly in the platform using your own color schemes, changing things back and forth, and then exporting that directly into your reports. So I would say that that's one of our key strengths. Outside of that, I think the user experience is really great. And so, we're a modern technology. We continue to improve and we continue to evolve our technology. But when you're either a researcher or a participant and you're going in, there's that whole customizable experience and it's really easy to use. So I know we had another question about what type of training is provided to the participants. We do kind of have step-by-step guidance. And as a researcher, you can program in different modules on the homepage to guide people through what they're supposed to do. But because it's so interactive, I think it's very natural for people to use. And that's another one of our really big strengths. So I would say different qualitative platforms have different features. Some are the same, some are the different. But with Recollective, I think we really pride ourselves in making sure that the researchers, it's not just the experience for the participant that's great and going through the process of fielding your project, but when it comes time to doing that analysis and reporting, we have you supported there as well.
There was one other question that, sorry. Did you want to add to that at all, Nick?
Oh, no, that's perfect. Yeah, it's great.
Okay, great. One other question before we wrap up, because we're right at time here, but Santiago said, how is the view of respondents from mobile phone and how do all types of activities / tasks adapt to the mobile phone usage?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the way the platform is designed is that it automatically modulates with everything. So if I go over this real quick, and let me see if I can just very quickly show what that looks like. I've essentially just squished my screen, if you can see that on my end. So all I did was drag my web browser, and that's what's nice. When you're designing it, you can see what it looks like on a desktop. And if you squeeze it all the way over, this is the experience that they would see on a mobile device. You have your toolbars at the very bottom for the 4 different sections that I showed you. All your options and customizations are here as well. So interacting with this is super easy. Things such as a card sort where you're dragging things. Now on a smaller screen, it's quite difficult. So instead of dragging them across the screen and trying to play around with that, you can actually click on the cards and it shows you what categories that you can apply it to. So again, everything's adaptive in such a way where we are making sure that the user experience, no matter what device you're using, has forethought into it. So I can definitely show you more examples of that afterwards if you'd like to as well, but that should cover it for now.
Perfect. Well, thanks so much, Nick, for the presentation, and Laura as well for hopping on to answer some questions. Hopefully we got to all of the ones that we could from this chat, but we will see you all in the next session. And I hope anybody who's here can reach out to Nick or Laura with any follow-up questions or to schedule a demo. So thanks so much, both of you, for your time.
Thank you as well. Have a good one, everyone.
Bye.